Hey guys, Tom Moran here from Tom's Big Spiders with two very long overdue updates. First off, I don't know where the camera is aiming, but I got my balfouri communal. I've got some updates on that one. Again, I don't post them unless I have something substantial. A lot of times I'm just catching one or two out, but we have had a couple of very cool developments as far as I'm concerned. And then number two, this one's really overdue because a few months ago I picked up some black widows that I've wanted black widows for years from my buddy Jeff at Torpedoes and Tarantulas. And Jeff is actually a really cool guy. I'm hoping some of you guys will actually go check out his channel. We'll be collaborating in the future. But fantastic dude. I mean, I ordered these from him. He was an amazing person to work with, and one of the few people that I've ever bought anything from that actually hand wrote a letter and told me how to take care of him and how he was caring for him, which I was incredibly appreciative of because I had not had black widows before. I'd read some stuff on them, but this was coming right from the guy who had been taken care of with his observations, which was great. And I'm still chatting with Jeff, so really good guy. And I feel bad, Jeff. Sorry it took me so long to get this video up, but here we go. So without any further ado, let's get me out of here. And before anybody comments, yes, I know Motionless and White is metalcore and not metal. I have diverse tastes, but I do like them. So one of my videos, people were like, that's not a metal band. Yes, I know my music. But anyway, enough of me talking, and let's get on to the actual spiders. All right, this is probably the most interesting development we've had in quite some time in the communal. Right here is the original mature male. This is the one that I had assumed to be dead for quite some time. As a matter of fact, he disappeared last year around October, I think, went into the tunnels, and I hadn't seen him for almost an entire year. In several of the update videos, I had also referred to him as probably having passed on and died in the tunnels, and I wasn't sure whether the females had ate him. I hadn't seen a body or anything of that nature, but I had not seen him for, I believe, a full year. So to suddenly go into the tarantula room, look in there, and see him in there was quite the shock. Here he is, and you can see the other male is over on the side. That is the one that matured later on. You can see how much bigger he is, and there he is, obviously a little bit duller. This would be look like a tarantula that was in need of a molt. Unfortunately, he had already had his final molt. He won't molt again, so that's pretty much it. But you can see his grade completely out. He's a little slower. He's kind of an old man now, and there's the other guy, the big guy. It's amazing how much the size difference is between these two. They matured, the second one matured almost a year after the first one matured, but he's still alive. This one totally took me off guard, and I was super excited to see it. Now, again, it was sad when he went, but it was kind of like the end of an era because I had gotten these guys at slings, and I had lost the first one due to just the natural life cycle. But apparently I was completely wrong because he was alive and well and living in those tunnels. And again, kind of odd behavior for a mature male because I found that these guys roam all around constantly looking for females to mate with. And in this case, the guy managed to stay hidden for most of a year. And I'm guessing he was probably out sometimes in the mornings and I hadn't seen him. I mean, I don't think he never emerged from the tunnels, but for me to not catch him out at some point, I'm in that room all the time, and over 12 months, that's pretty impressive. So he is still alive. We still have probably 9 in the tank. And the males are obviously, for a lack of a better term or phrase, sexually active. Here is one. Billy called me out, said, I think one of them's making a sperm web. And it was actually a proud moment there that she even knew what a sperm web was. I mean, we've come a long way. And there he is making the sperm web. Now, this went on for quite some time, but I'm just putting kind of, if you can do something like highlights of a male spider making a sperm web, these would be the highlights. But you can see him getting the web up there, doing the little things with his pedipalps, probably loading up. So this here obviously indicates that these guys are locked and loaded, ready to go, and I've suspected such before, but I hadn't caught one doing a sperm web, so there could actually be mating in this enclosure. And as we'll see coming up, the females have put on quite a bit of size. Most of them are, I would consider, adults, smaller adults. So we could have babies coming up. And here's another closer look at him going ahead, doing his thing with his pedipalps. This went on for quite some time, and then afterwards he ended up destroying the web. It's almost like the dirty little secret. They take it, rip it down, and hide it. But, yep, the males are ready to roll, and I have a funny feeling that in the future we may be seeing babies in here. And again, I've had many people ask what I'm going to do, and my answer is usually, I have no idea. Billy and I have talked about it, and it's going to be interesting logistically how it's going to work, but I'm excited about it at the same time. So there's the old male. As you can see, the newer male is off having a time of his life with one of my females, and there is the old male looking rather sad and kind of left out of the party. His back's to it. He's like, I don't want to watch this. This isn't fair. So there they are, two of them mating. And it's funny, I just had a faculty meeting, and it was about taking care of yourself and what you do to relieve stress when you get home, and people were coming up with their answers. And there was a moment I pondered actually raising my hand and saying, I like watching tarantulas mate, and just seeing what look that would be on the my other coworkers' faces, but I decided against it. And again, this isn't something I particularly, it's fascinating to me, but there isn't a moment that goes by when I'm filming something like this thinking I'm kind of weird. Here we go. I'm trying to basically zoom in on the emboli to see if the male is actually getting insertion, and I didn't quite catch an insertion. I've seen a couple of these instances where they've gone at it, look like they're mating, but the male doesn't actually get the job done. At least it didn't appear so. And here you can see the female, he's got her bent over. They're doing a little slapping of the hands. The good thing is the male is about the same size as the female, so they're on equal ground, and he is in no way, shape, or form interested in doing anything with the females other than mating with them. So I'm not really concerned of there being any violence between the two of them. In the past several months or so, we've caught several of these interactions. So I'd be foolish to think that the males aren't getting the job done in some instances. Again, out of the females I've seen a good 4 of them that are quite large and probably of breeding age. A couple of the other ones I've caught out are a little bit smaller, so we'll have to see how it goes. I'm kind of excited and kind of terrified to see what happens if one of these girls ends up having a brood. All right, this one is long overdue. This summer I was able to finally get a hold of some southern black widows, or Latrodectrus mactans, I believe is how you pronounce it. I could be wrong. I've wanted these guys for quite some time. As a matter of fact, the first time I found out they weren't lethal, I was in my science class my sophomore year of high school. We were talking about black widows and how dangerous they were, and my biology teacher, Mr. Clocker, did a big explanation how he came from the south, and they had them down there, and they weren't as bad as everybody said. And since that point, I really wanted them. Of course, now that I've gotten into some exotics, it was only a matter of time, but Jeff was absolutely fantastic to deal with on these. Here, I'll pop a cap in a minute so we can see them, and I'm going to be rehousing them into their permanent homes very, very soon. But I got these guys as well-started spiderlings. He sent, I'm just going to show a brief, sent a actual handwritten letter, which being a teacher, I can't tell you how cool it was to actually get a handwritten letter. You just don't see those anymore. And went off and basically told me exactly how he was keeping them, which I thought was fantastic because I really didn't know too much about these, and he'd obviously had success with them because he'd been raising the sack. So really excited to get these guys. I've been showing them off to everybody that comes over my house. It's like, you say you have tarantulas, it's one thing. You break out black widows, all of a sudden it turns into a big, how could you keep something so deadly? And then I get to talk about them a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and crack this one open a bit. Here's one of the big females. And Billy wants to zoom in on that bad girl. Zoom in on her. Then just click on her. Boom. Or not. There we go. Sorry about that. We're trying to, it's one of the smallest things we've done. There she is. Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful girl as the dogs flap off in the background. And my gnarly thumb. So there we go. I've got 3 of them. He sent a couple extras. I had one that died in molt and then a male that ended up dying later on. But I've got the 3 females left there. Absolutely beautiful. This one's a little bit smaller, hunched up in there. And Jeff gave excellent directions on how to, instructions on how to keep them. They do like to be kept, as he put, keep them arboreally, even though they're not technically arboreals, because what they will do is web up off the ground. They seem to spread basically a web lead that goes down the bottom. As soon as something disturbs it, they come down, grab it, and they start spraying it up with web and kicking it with their back legs. And unfortunately, the couple times I've caught them doing this, I was so fascinated by the process that I didn't think to break out the camera and record it. That would have been great. So hopefully when I get them in their new homes, right now they've kind of latched onto the top of the enclosures, not the plants I originally had in there. When I give them their new homes, it'll be a little bit bigger, and they'll have some spots to basically web up underneath. So Torpedoes and Tarantulas, awesome channel. I've been actually corresponding back and forth with Jeff since buying these, become a friend in the hobby. So definitely I'm going to put a little thing up over probably in this area around here so that you can see Jeff's channel. We'll put up the graphics and I'll add it in there. And hopefully you guys will go over and visit him because he's got a really good channel. And he does cigars as well, which I used to actually smoke quite a few cigars in my 20s. So that's pretty cool. So Jeff, again, sorry this is so overdue. Thanks so much for these guys. One of the jewels of my collection. We just had people over for Thanksgiving. They were kind of the highlight of my collection over some of the other things, which is really cool as Wormy comes padding in the background. So there we go. Southern Black Widows, finally. All right, well, as you can see, all of the balfouri appear to be alive again. I don't catch all 9 out at once almost ever, but knowing that that male is still in there was a huge one because I had assumed he had probably died a winter ago, and yet he appears almost after it was an entire year, and he's alive and well. And as for my little widows, they are still doing great. I'm thinking I'm going to get them into something a little bit larger than these, but they are still doing awesome. They are gorgeous, and honestly, it's sad that it took me so long to get some of these guys because, again, I had heard about them years ago when in high school. That's when I found out they weren't the lethal, bloodthirsty killers that everybody kind of says that they are. And I will tell you, even now, telling people that I have these, I send people pictures, some of my friends that I work with, pictures of them, and they thought I was absolutely nuts. They're going to kill you. They're going to kill your family. So it's turned into a learning situation for them as well because I can explain, no, they're not going to kill me. They're not going to kill my family. They're actually fairly docile. So, again, thanks so much, Jeff, for these guys. They're amazing. Thanks all of you guys for watching. Again, here's my little spiel at the end. If this is your first time checking out some of my videos, I would love it if you check out some more before you make a decision maybe and follow. So I usually put those in here. And then if you liked it so much, you're like, man, this guy's awesome, we're going to go ahead and follow him right off the bat. I usually put the little circle around in here. I always have to try to figure out where this goes. As always, love getting comments, love answering your comments, love answering your questions, so please feel free to shoot me one, and I will respond ASAP. That's it for now. You guys have a great one.